Hi there. Welcome to Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker one glorious minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
And I'm Josh Flanagan from ifanboy.com, which is not my name.
Josh Flanagan, one of our oldest and truest guests.
Oldest in the sense of the show's longevity, but also I might have a run at the other title too.
I wonder who the oldest one of our
Probably
guests is. Oh, ouch.
Probably you, old man,
right.
Pa.
I didn't know the gloves were off this episode, so good to know.
I am the youngest and the shortest member of ABC Devo, ABCDTOS.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's funny that like when Alex and I like met each other and we're like, he seemed so much older than me. But then now, like longer, I'm like, it's nothing. That distance doesn't even matter anymore. I was like, oh, we're just both middle-aged men now.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us here, taking time from your napping to talk about some Rise of Skywalker minutes with us. Specifically, minute 111. 111 starts off with Ben Solo shooting a guy behind his back. Behind Ben Solo's back, not behind the other guys. You know what I mean. And then a minute later with Ben Solo shooting a look after Sheev stops speechifying.
yes, the no-look shot.
Of course, we saw Han Solo do the same thing in Force Awakens. So it is a Solo trait.
Which brings up the question, though. Is Han Solo more Force sensitive than we had previously thought?
No.
So the fact that like Han can do that's just practice Doc Hollidaying, right? It's you know, good old shooting Western stuff, has nothing to do with the Force.
I think so.
So when Ben Solo does it, he is not accessing the Force at all to do that. And if he is that cheating?
I mean, possibly it's a little bit of spider sense where he's just like, oh, somebody's back there. But I think then the actual from there, the Solo genes take over.
Okay, so he's just cool. That's all it is. It's the cool gene.
And we got him on like the first shot too. It wouldn't have been as impressive if he was like choo, 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 you know, shooting like 6 times and he couldn't quite hit him, and he would still know.
That's true. That's the difference, because Han was just, you know, waving it around. It just hit by accident. Like, so Ben took that and then elevated it using his skill set.
Refined.
I did notice that when the body drops, it's a fantastic bit of Foley. Like, it's a good, solid body hit in the ground thud. And I was like, all right, appreciate that.
I lost track. Did Ben Solo, did he pick this gun up from somewhere, or did he bring it with him? Did anyone notice if he had a gun on his person? Josh, obviously you're off the hook, but
I imagine in Sith temples, they're just strewn about in case anyone gets angry, and then they can
like lollipops. They just have a jar of them with a bunch of guns sticking out. Take one; they're small.
Like Palpatine wants people to be shot randomly. So
yeah.
At the end of last week, in 110, it ended with him shooting a guy in the neck. There was another one of these guys that he shot there. So he had to have gotten it from somewhere. Maybe it was in the TIE Fighter. Maybe it's like maybe he grabbed that from the Death Star on his way to the garage.
That has to come standard in a TIE Fighter.
So it's vintage.
Probably.
You know. That's how you get that body thud. My primary initial note here, and through this whole thing, is that Ben Solo is wearing the equivalent of what we thought of as theater clothes when I was a kid. This is what all stereotypes of theater people wore, was like or like the Black Viet Cong pajamas. But I'm going to go with the theater. Yeah. Just kind of loose.
Where did he get this
the whole
shirt,
time?
You know,
I don't know.
People don't dress like that anymore.
The theater, they bet they still do. Was this also in the TIE Fighter?
Like helping Mum and Shants or whatever, you know, they're trying to blend into the background.
Yeah, I'm assuming this outfit was also in the TIE Fighter.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
because it's too baggy to have been under his Kylo Ren armor.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That just could just be like his undergarments.
Yeah,
But it would have a hole in it, right? Unless Ray healed his shirt
true.
too.
uh,
Maybe he brought a
Or
day bag.
so.
this is the farthest along in the progression of space cloth. I mean, if you can't do self-sealing shirts,
Yeah.
what are you even doing making shirts? Space shirts.
Right.
So after
It's
he shoots
frustrating to be like a punk or a cool kid in the Star Wars universe because you cut a hole in your jeans and it seals right back up.
Well, you got to pay extra for the vintage non-sealing
Yeah, right,
clothing. You know, I had these imported in from the Outer Rim. You know, and what'd you pay for them? You don't want to know. It was a bunch of credits.
the clothing people, we shouldn't give them any ideas, but it should be like a subscription-based model where if you want it to be repaired, just sign up. You pay, 3 credits a month, and all your clothes will never be damaged. So,
Hole insurance.
whole insurance. So
Go ahead, come back from that.
after shooting the guy behind his back, Ben Solo runs into his old pals, the silent but deadly Knights of Ren, returning.
Poorly defined Knights of Ren.
So this sent me on a whole. Hey, what about these Knights of Ren?
Oh boy!
And I said, like, I guess I shouldn't have been. What I was, in fact, shocked by the amount of specific narrative that existed for these nameless, faceless people. And it turns out they are not nameless because there are many
they have
names.
names.
Oh yes, yeah.
But speaking of clothing, they really go into detail in Star Wars fandom of and I think most of this must be from comics, like
Or
like
Visual Dictionary.
Yeah.
Visual
Right.
Dictionary has a
Yeah,
lot of information about them.
so. There was a couple of things I thought were great. It said Kylo Ren, he joined up. You know, he went with the crew and sort of ended up taking over. And it says he later replaces old cape and cowl with a hoodless cape that was made of static dampening fabric, grounding electrical interference. After seizing control of the First Order, Ren donned a treated cloak that was also flame retardant. I was like, really?
Oh.
There's another one. There's more of these, and I have 2 more. And it says servo motors were attached to his helmet, controlling articulated arms that separated the face mask from the helmet, which allowed Kylo to remove his helmet, revealing the uncontained malice in his expression. The silver inlay visor radiated from the eyes as a symbol of power, and the helmet's integrated vocabulator projected Kylo's voice.
Integrated.
It's very deep. I don't
vocabulator.
remember the arms. Did you see the arm? That's not canon. And then finally, just
maybe they're little arms inside.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
they're like
I think that's
inside
what
the helmet. Like,
Yeah.
And then I just enjoyed this one sentence from Aplek, who wore a lightweight plastoid armor beneath his tunic and a water-shedding oiled cloak. I was like, oh, good. He's water resistant, because that is key to really running vaguely Sith-based terror.
I like one guy's waterproof, one guy's fireproof, one guy's shockproof.
If we time this just right, we're going to be perfect.
eventually they'll come out with one clothing which is shockproof, waterproof, and flame-proof.
Well, the subscription rates all that are insane.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They'd look back and be like, Aplek, it's for the hole. I couldn't pay it.
Sorry,
what's your
card expired and I didn't update it.
So what's your final verdict on the what's their final verdict on the Knights of Ren?
Guilty.
No. Like, I think it feels like such a wasted opportunity. Like, they didn't do anything.
I mean, isn't that kind of the through line in many of the film? I mean, like, so you got your Knights of Ren, you got your Snokes, you got your, like all these things that don't really pay off. I mean, like, I don't know. It's weird because when we were kids, when we watched Star Wars the first time, there's all these things that get mentioned. And we made up stories about them. We said, oh, that's cool because whatever. And then over the years, and then they started, this is me, like they started explaining it. And I was like, I don't want to know all this.
Yeah.
And now these are in here. And we're like, well, what the hell is this? You didn't even explain it. Like, yeah, they can't win. But you're right. If you're going to name them and put So if you look at you go to Return of the Jedi and you look at the Crimson Guards in the back, or those, their names, I'm sure, the people who were, the Emperor's retinue, the two guys with the horns.
Sim Alu, and I can't remember the other guy.
Right. But for most of your life, those were cool-looking guys back there. And if you read some story along the way that kind of explained what it was, great. If not, those guys were cool-looking.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, you need content, obviously, but I did, but I thought the same thing when I watched it. I was like, yeah, who were them? I said, those are the Knights of Ren. I don't even know why I know that.
Yeah.
There's no reason I would know that.
Well, and also, I guess it's just like, they don't seem any different than the 10,000 different stormtroopers we've seen fighting over they're just basically guys who do kung fu, like fight with weapons.
Well,
they're not.
You didn't read 15,000 words on their history.
Or wish they
whole thing
had some personality or talked. Like, how do they feel about Kylo Ren jumping? Are they just like traitor, or are they like cool? Now I get to be the boss? Or did they have any relationship? Did they like him? Did he like them? Nothing.
But isn't that a different kind of movie? Like sure, you could very easily say like, oh, this is his buddy, and it's like, you betrayed me, and like they have a thing, but who's got time for that? They got plot to get through.
You know who does have time for that is New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson.
Oh,
so the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker Expanded Edition novelization has a little bit of not time for individual Knights of Ren, but they do have a moment where he sees them, and Kylo Ren has a thing where he's like, "Oh, these were my guys. I thought they were my guys, but turns out the Emperor was pulling all the strings. Like he was controlling Snoke, and Snoke was controlling the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren were given to Kylo Ren by Snoke. So
he thought that they were his crew,
and he thought that they were his crew, like his just like his personal entourage. But turns out they were, answering to Snoke, and then Snoke out of the way. It turns out they were answering to the Emperor because they were. Snoke was the Emperor. Emperor was Snoke.
And so this whole time, like, is Kylo Ren like embarrassed that all this time he's been treating these guys like they're his friends, and then he's finding out that they're actually paid by the Emperor to be his?
He thought they were friends, but he thought that they were like his reliable security team. His gang.
It sounded like most of the Sith organizations, as far as I can tell, are not people you can necessarily rely on. Since sort of the main thrust of it is, if you're the boss, I have to kill you so I can be the boss. Just so we know that's going to happen. Oh, yeah, sure, totally. You can get lunch. Like it's...
Although, I will have there'll be a note about that later on in the week.
Oh, a little teaser.
But it is my understanding that Kylo Ren was in charge of them because he killed their leader, Ren. Not of the Stimpy family, I don't think, but
from NWA.
Yeah, MC Ren.
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying that this is true, or are you just speculating on this?
No, it's in the. I mean, legends can't. I don't know, but like that's, if you look them up, like that's the deal. Is like they were a gang of folks who like were Force nerd or Sith or dark side nerds, and then they were like, hey, let's terrorize people because they're kind of dark sidey. They're Force sensitive in the dark side, and so. And they were all, you had to kill. It was like a gang. You had to kill somebody to get in, and then because it's Sith, they're like, it'd be awesome if we beat the leader, and then we kill him, and we could be the leader. That's.
I remember that story being a thing, but then I also I can't find none of the. I feel like maybe that's been erased or it's been trod upon because there's I
can't tell you the legality or official status of what I read, and now that I'm saying it to presumably thousands of people who are like, no.
Because I remember that story too, that he was like, it was like a younger Kylo Ren, and he had to like infiltrate this gang by taking out the leader basically, and had a whole thing. But there was then alternately though, it seems as just like, oh no, like Snoke just kind of gave you these guys as a security force after,
and he took them out.
That does seem like the kind of thing I would not have read in a comic that came out when Force Awakens came out, and they gave you 6 different comics to tell you tiny bit more about Rey and a little bit more about Kylo Ren and etc. I have 2
things. Well, I want to go back to the book eventually. We don't have to go there right now, but I do have an interesting. I have two little things from the book. One's a funny line, and the other one is important information here.
Well, you sock it to us.
Well, speaking of explaining things, as we were.
Just Nixon showed up for the first time.
Right, yeah.
And then it's like, I'm here, and I just...
That's one of them when he's going through. It's like, I was every voice you've ever heard in your head, and it's Darth Vader and Snoke, and also Nixon for some reason. He's like, huh?
I'm not a crook.
You're not ready for that one yet.
True evil.
But there's an interesting, as Rey approaches Palpatine,
yes.
she gets a little glimpse. She comes closer. He's doing the thing where, it puts the lotion in the basket and, and she will take her revenge. Palpatine boomed. Rey continued to approach. His power was intoxicating.
And he's on a boom.
He is. That's why he boomed. He's like, well, she will take her revenge.
I thought that's what you meant for a second. Oh, wait, no.
And when she gets closer, wave after wave of triumph emanated from him. Along with it came knowledge, memories. Maybe it was their shared blood that enabled her to see his thoughts. But somehow she could, and Rey saw it then, how he'd done it, what he was about to do again. Falling, here it goes into italics, so we know it's a vision, or she's in his mind. Falling down a massive shaft, the betrayal, sharp and stinging. A figure high above, black-clad and helmeted and shrinking fast. His very own apprentice had turned against him the way he himself had turned against Plagueis, whose secret to immortality he had stolen.
The irony! As he's falling down the shaft, that's what he's thinking.
Right. Good one! Plagueis had not.
How could I not have seen this coming?
I did not have that on my bingo card.
Good one.
Well, turns out he did. Plagueis had not acted fast enough in his own moment of death, but Sidious, sensing the flickering light in his apprentice, had been ready for years. So the falling, dying Emperor called on all the dark power of the Force to thrust his consciousness far, far away to a secret place he had been preparing. His body was dead, an empty vessel, long before it found the bottom of the shaft. And his mind jolted to new awareness in a new body, a painful one, a temporary one. It was too soon. The secret place had not completed its preparations. The transfer was imperfect and the cloned body wasn't enough. Perhaps Plagueis was having the last laugh after all. Maybe his secret remained secret because Palpatine was trapped in a broken, dying form. And then it goes on a little bit about how the Sith enthusiasts were working to keep creating clone bodies, and one of those one of those was okay, and they were like, well, he's okay, but he can't use the Force, and he's the one that they send out to be Rey's dad.
So there were a lot of times in the minutes that came up where I thought, this reminds me of Harry Potter.
Yeah,
which I know is, but like what you just said, you're explaining it. I was like, why does that sound familiar? I was like, Voldemort is in a body that can't contain him.
Yeah.
That he sent himself, because instead of dying, he was there and he's weak. And I was like, oh.
Rey looked into the pensive and saw this memory of when he was falling down the shaft.
Mm-hmm. You can do it the other way too. You can read Harry Potter and go, this is just Star Wars. But now it's,
So are we to assume from that description that the big blast of energy that we see shooting out of the reactor core in Return of the Jedi is his spirit, is his soul leaving his body?
Could be. Or it could just be, his body hitting the reactor core. His lifeless, soulless body hitting the reactor core.
Does a Force master, the Sith or whatever, did they contain energy? Are they, more so than normal people? So if you blow up a Jedi Master, does it? I mean,
right?
When he hits the reactor, is it worse than if just random stormtrooper?
Is he more combustible than an Ewok?
It's probably more the shoddy construction of the Death Star than anything to do with that.
Ewoks are remarkably flame retardant, oddly enough, except for those two.
Right.
So also from that, are we to infer that this was an instantaneous thing, that he was thrown down the shaft, his soul left, and then suddenly he woke up in the body, it was like this happened 35 years ago or whatever. It's
Right.
not like he was only recently. So he's been
no.
hanging around this zombie body for like 30 years now.
This is like zombie body 27. Like he showed up
That's
in a
how long
body
it-
and they're like, not quite. And they're like, all right, we'll make another one. Hang on. And they make another one.
That's
and
how
he
long
jumps
it took
into
him to
that
make the arm.
one. Right,
The boom.
Yeah.
He was just
So
lying on the floor, like watching them. Like, okay, a little left. Can we make that a little taller? Okay. No, 1/8 inch. No, hex nuts. Hell, come on.
I can't believe you stripped it.
All right. I have more questions about that, but I'm sure it's just not going to lead us anywhere particularly productive. So I'll rewind a bit. When he's saying, she will draw her weapon, and she does exactly that. What's going on here? Is she just playing along? Is she being Jedi mind tricked?
I had this question.
Yes. Pete, you must have the answer then.
Sure. Let me tell you.
Because it kind of comes up the whole week. I'm not sure how during this whole week if this is Indiana Jones pretending to be in the thrall of Mola Ran, or if she is legitimately,
So I watched through the movie all the way before I did the minutes. And then I realized I must have blacked out a little. So I got to this and I was like, I don't remember the context for this at all when I got into the specific minutes. But I think now, like, I don't think I would, because you don't know. Meaning that, like I was like, did I miss something? Why is she in the thrall? I could not tell.
We're past the part. I've been, all season, the past couple of months, I've been defending this movie, and we're past the part that I like. So we're into the stuff that I don't. So I'm gonna stop defending it. I think for the most part.
Join us on the dark side.
80% of this movie.
This like Harry Potter battle in a cave. I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Rey, she will take her revenge, Palpatine boomed. Rey continued to approach. His power was intoxicating. She found herself raising her weapon almost against her will. So it is a little bit.
That sounds
So
fine.
we're clear. We're
tricky.
using the novelization to further define what happened in the film.
Yeah.
It's the only other source we have. So
Hey, I have a feeling if you showed this to like J.J. Abrams, like I don't know anything about this.
Oh yeah.
But if not for the other presence in her mind, bright and shining with light, she would not have been able to resist him.
So that sounds like an attempted Jedi mind trick to me. Although I'm sure Palpatine would take umbrage with referring to it as a Jedi mind trick.
That's interesting terminology. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she is. I don't know. She's definitely fighting some kind of control.
At the beginning of this too, when and through the whole thing, I kept wondering, like, wait, so is Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, is he force depleted now? Because I feel like he should be able to take these guys out fast. So I was like, wait, what happened? Why is he kind of lame in the fight?
Well,
Like, he does some cool stuff, but at the beginning, he's like, I don't know. I just thought you could do this faster and easier. You're really good at force.
I mean, in Force Awakens, he literally pulled he stopped a laser bolt in midair.
Right.
It seems like these guys would be like nothing.
That's it. I was like, is he tired? What?
Although maybe he's not trying to use the dark side because now he's good. So he's like, if I get all mad, then I'll become evil again for some reason.
That's a good point.
Let me back up to the previous page and tell you they surrounded him slowly like predators stalking their prey. He could take 2 or 3 at a time, but these were his very own. He'd train them with them. They could even touch the Force in a small way. He didn't stand a chance against all of them at once, not armed with just a blaster. So it's because they do have a connection to the Force, and there's so many of them, and he trained them.
Why can't he shoot them?
He could shoot them.
But why? Seems like if
But
you
he can
have a
only
gun,
shoot 3 of them.
Let me read the part where he could shoot. No, I don't.
Well, the thing is, he could do this thing where he shoots and then gets one of these behind the back. He doesn't have to look.
Right? Not
but I
with
mean,
these
he
guys,
could just
I
go,
guess.
like it's not how.
Just
hold your
machine
finger,
gun, just sit
hold
there
your
being
finger on the button and just swirl it around your head with your finger on the trigger button. You'll probably get a lot of them.
He's good at jumping and turning and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's like his move.
Yeah.
I will throw in the next line, which is maybe it had been premature to throw his lightsaber into the sea. So good thought there.
Thrower tosser's remorse.
I mean, he could just get it back.
Just stand there for 5 minutes.
Mjolnir. Yeah. I mean,
your book. Wait here. And he drives back to the Death Star and then drives back with his lightsaber.
That would make a beautiful visual montage.
And cut to Rey be like fighting the Emperor, and he's like sitting there with like a big gulp,
He's at a
filling up the TIE fighter with gas.
No, I wanted 2 sugars.
Always 2.
Is there a code for the restroom, or do I just is there a key?
He's like, ugh. his theater pajamas are getting all
right. And the one line that I did, one more line out of the book that I wanted to read from today. This might be a book heavy week, I'm warning you, but when Rey is first approaching the Emperor and she takes some steps, she will come to me. It says, Rey stepped closer still. Her grandfather smelled like rotting meat.
Oh! Wow.
Which is, if you had just like flipped forward, if you were like, oh, what's this book about? And you just flipped there, like out of context, that's pretty funny because it's like
I think it's pretty apt description. You said smelled like rotting meat, and I went, I buy that. Yeah. I could see that the whole way through.
See,
like, you go.
Go ahead, Josh. Finish.
You go into the Emperor's throne room at any point in time, and you look at him in any of the like, maybe other than on when he was in the Senate.
He was the Senate.
He looks like he smells
the
bad.
Senate was in him.
He looks, like in Return of the Jedi, I can imagine that room was quite unpleasant. Look at what those guys around him looked like. They didn't start out like that. They had beautiful, smooth skin. That guy didn't even have horns. Like, it was like...
I wish that... See, this is also... I mean, I'm sure this is something that Ray Carson put in there, but that's something that would have been a great detail to have Daisy Ridley convey. You know what I mean? Like in that scene where Princess Leia. No, just have her being like, oh, like when Princess Leia gets pulled next to Jabba the Hutt and she's all like, oh, like repulsed by it. Let's have some of that here. Let's have her being like, you stink, Grandpa. Or something.
What sucks though is that Moff Tarkin got blamed for that smell.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
And that's why he was like. Because he knew it wasn't him, but it was pointless. Like he just
he can't say it's not me, it's the Emperor who stinks.
Right, he can't. He's just like, they got me in this position again.
And Leia totally knew
my
that.
jodhpurs are perfect and clean, and you're going to hit me with this.
I picture Palpatine bathing himself in a lot of oils. The Emperor, not rotting meat Palpatine, but Empire Palpatine.
Maybe that's intended. Maybe he bathes himself in like rotting meat scented essential oils just to make it like that much more evil.
He's evil, so therefore he likes smelling disgusting.
Smell terrible.
Yeah, moldy.
Or that's what he needed to cover up the rotting meat smell when he was out in proper society. These are the oils, the only things that work. Hello. Like, it was right there. Like, after a certain point, he's like, I have to get going because my oils are wearing off. Right. And the guy in the next room is like,
like a deodorant commercial. You don't want to be in the middle of a meeting when your oils run out, so make sure you use Chief Palpatine.
Sith stick.
Yeah. Sith stick. 6 Sith sticks. So you mentioned the arm. You get a good shot of it here. The arm that's holding him up. It's got to be like 10 stories tall. That thing. That's it's some pretty good.
Are they? They're in a cave. Are they in an outdoor area?
It's like an arena.
No. There's a open roof. There's a ceiling that opened up. But other than that, they are in like an arena. They're surrounded by tens of that's why you can see tens of thousands of Sith they're surrounding them, not reacting at all to what is going on at any point during the proceedings.
Sometimes.
So not always two there are.
These are just like enthusiasts, alchemists. There's no
Renlings.
They're silver level. They're silver level Sith. Gold level. There's always two.
Right.
I don't think these guys would even be silver.
They're platinum select.
Hey ho. Then it ends with Palpatine declaring the Jedi are dead.
All these Jedi are dead.
Which
he's not wrong.
Do we know any other Jedi? Is Rey at this point? I mean, I feel like there must be other Jedi still out there.
Is she the last Jedi? You mean?
Yeah, I mean, we all thought it was ironic.
Yeah, we all thought Obi-Wan was the last Jedi, and it turned out there were hundreds of Jedi still roaming around the galaxy. So there's probably still some out there who never never returned from Order 66. So
could be. I still like to maintain that Kit Fisto's out there, 60 years old. Just he hid on the floor, pretended to be injured, and then just went and lived his life.
Do you think Kit Fisto's when they spawn, are there like 1,000 Kit Fistos? You know what I mean? Like, does he return to his home world and suddenly,
Fistlings?
Fistlings. Those are Kid Fistos.
Kid Fistlings.
Here you go. He used to box out of Chicago. I think, didn't we learn that about Mon Calamari, that there was like a lot? Yeah. There was something where like Junior, who's in this, it was just like one of a whole series of spawn that Akbar had.
And we know that in Ki-Adi-Mundi's world, there are only a handful of males who are charged with, fathering a whole generation of new children. So, good Jedi to be. Anything else for minute 111?
No.
111. All right.
Well, I think it'll keep. Unlike Palpatine's rotting meat, it'll keep until tomorrow. Josh,
are you free to return tomorrow?
That I am.
Are you willing to return tomorrow, I guess is the question.
Most assuredly.
All right, we'll take it day by day. In the meanwhile, I want to alert our listeners, yes, you all know over on the Patreon we're covering Ahsoka, but Ahsoka's almost done. What are we going to do after that, you ask? I'm glad you asked, because we've agreed, Pete and I, breaking news, we've just announced we are going to be covering the third book in the trilogy of From a Certain Point of View, The Return of the Jedi edition. Josh, are you familiar with this series of books?
Nope.
It's they've done 3 anthologies, each one for each of the original trilogy movies, where they're basically showing what was going on with minor supporting characters. So you get a story from the point of view of R5D4. You get a story from Walrus Man. You get a story from all these different characters.
Is the story that they're seeing the story we know? Is it the point of view of Walrus Man instead of us seeing what was happening with Luke and Ben?
It usually intersects.
Is it like Rashomon?
Kind of. It goes chronologically through the course of the movie and kind of usually intersects somewhere with where we saw them, or if we didn't see them, where they were when something was happening.
Yeah,
you're riding this one all the way out.
They're good. I like these books.
Well, like an anthology, they're hit or miss. Let's say that. They're but yeah, they're fun. And anyway, so we will be covering one every Saturday until the book runs out, which is I think 40 stories. Is that what they said?
Yeah, 40 for the 40th
so for the next
anniversary.
40 weeks, we're going to be doing this.
Welcome.
Cricket. All right. So anyway, if that sounds appealing to you, go to StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon, become a Patreon supporter. And in addition to the review show, you'll get access to all the past review shows, the Saturday shows, right? Or something like that. Anyway, go to the patreon.com, you'll figure it out. And then join us tomorrow here for another Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute. I was way out of practice.